imagine that there are three separate distinctive tracks. One track is a peace between Ukraine and Russia. That's not moving anywhere in the last year and 2 months or so since Trump became president and promised to finish the war in 48 hours or 48 days, or I don't know what was the number for sure. And maybe he doesn't know himself what's the number, and it doesn't mean anything to him. Frankly, I always thought, what's the difference to Trump that there is a war between Ukraine and Russia and they're killing 5,000 people a day or 10,000 people a day? What's Trump to do with that? Why is he so concerned about all that? I never could figure out until recently, because there is a second track which is impossible to conduct outside of first track. The second track is the agreement between Trump and his family and friends, and Putin between and his family and friends, to actually divide Russian natural resources and minerals and so on between these two groups. US as a country has nothing to do with that. Everything will be controlled by Trump and his family and Putin and his family and so on. But, without peace between Russia and Ukraine, Trump is afraid that American people may not understand how he can make any deals with the aggressor, a country that is killing thousands of innocent people. So he kind of interwoven these two tracks together. And I think I've seen very carefully Zelensky's emotions and his approach to his comments. I think Trump told him, just come there, be there, say that you don't agree to share your territory, go back. Next round, same thing. You or your delegation, doesn't matter, arrives, hello, no, we don't agree, pack your things, go home. And so on and on until I will tell you enough. That's the end. Until I tell you so, keep going back and forth, say you don't disagree, okay, go back. And that's, in the meantime, they are heavily involved in discussions with close Putin's advisors, like one that is coming to U.S. very often. I forgot what's his name. He looks so stupid. It's incredible. And maybe I'll come back later on to what's his name. But it doesn't matter really. What's important is that he is husband of a close friend of a daughter of Mr. Putin. So he's like part of the family almost, and he is Putin's economic advisor, and so on. Dmitriev, that's his name, but it doesn't really matter what's his name. And this is what's going on. So people are discussing this peace proposal. Maybe they will leave Donbass. But the problem is that there are no any guarantees so far for Ukraine to be intensified, to give any territory which is not controlled by Russians even. Remember, in 4 years, Russia could not control all territory of Donbass. And,
would you trust any promises made by the U.S.? No, absolutely not. There's nothing to
that's another
trust.
story. Even if there will be war guarantees, I don't understand what shape or form it could be. Only one guarantee Ukraine has: its own war army of Ukraine, which, if it will be properly equipped, and even is not properly equipped as it is now, they are beating a hell of the Russians. The Russians forgot about their attacks on Ukrainian positions. All they do is a terrorist bombardment of civilian targets, killing innocent people, including women, babies, older people. That's all what they can do.
Right, and I appreciate that dialogue on this topic because honestly, I want to say that Ukraine would not be in the position that they're in and at war if we never convinced them to destroy their weapons and stop building them. Because Ukraine is probably one of the best people to build weapons in the world. They know how to build weapons. They're
Yeah.
smart. They engineer some of the best weapons the world ever knew, and that's why the U.S. convinced to disarm them, and that made them completely defenseless. So I am an American, but I truly put all of this on America because we made a promise that we did not keep. But maybe this is a lesson to the rest of the world. Don't negotiate to destroy your own protection. Don't do
Very
that.
important thing before I forgot to tell you. Yesterday, 5th of February, there was expiration of the recent agreement about long-range missiles between
Right.
Russia and U.S. What's important is that because of that agreement, which was signed back in 1970s, it was important that Russia and US were equals to a number of missiles that they each one had. So Russia always perceived as the only country on parity with United States. Yesterday was the end of it. There is no more parity, not even to be discussed anymore, because Russia doesn't even have the allowed 1,500 warheads. They don't have even that. And with more the maintenance being deteriorated, they will not have even 1,000 warheads. And China probably will overcome them in the next few years. So US, on the other hand, can now build innumerable number of the warheads if they wish to do so. So the parity is no longer there. It's a key word. So Russia was always perceived as superpower because of the parity with the United States on the number of warheads. No more starting today, there is no parity anymore.
No
So
more.
let's talk. Can we talk about the Budapest memorandum for us? Okay, so the Soviet Union falls in 1991. The Soviet Union, which had control of Ukraine, had 1,900 strategic nuclear weapons in warheads in Ukraine, 176 bomber planes, thousands more smaller nukes. And Ukraine agreed. So the Soviet Union falls apart. Ukraine is sitting on more than 3,000 nuclear weapons. We persuaded Ukraine to return these nukes to Russia in return for us protecting Ukraine from Russian aggression. And they made the deal. They don't have any nukes anymore. And we are supposed to protect them. And obviously, we've done not the best job.
Agree. One more thing, just you said that they were supposed to return these missiles to Russia. No, they didn't have to return anything because after the Soviet Union was dissolved, so agreement was that whatever nukes are on the Russian territory remains Russians. Whatever remains in Ukraine remains Ukrainian. There was also Kazakhstan missiles and Belarusian. So Kazakhstan and Belarus very quickly decided to get rid of these missiles because simply it requires maintenance and quite expensive one, and there was no prospects really of using them except
but within 5 years, by 1996, at least according to AI, they had returned all the nukes to Russia.
I would say not returned. They made them available and moved them to Russia. They did not have to return because they never took from Russia anything. It was based in Ukraine from the beginning. A lot of Russian missiles actually were built in Ukraine.
I see. Okay.
So there was no returning.
So they say that they built a bunch. The upshot of it is that Ukraine built thousands of nukes
Yeah.
for Russia.
Yeah, most of the Russian Cosmos acquisition was done thanks to Ukraine, because a lot of this production of this rockets and missiles, they were all done in Ukraine. Nobody in the Soviet Union had any capacity to produce anything. It was all done in Ukraine, in the city of Dnipropetrovsk, Zaporizhzhia, Kharkiv. That was industrial base of Ukraine. It was industrial base of all Soviet Union.
Okay. Have we mentioned what the internet is going crazy about this morning, which is that Trump put up a racist video today, an AI video of Michelle and Barack Obama depicting them as apes?
You know, and it's just going to get worse. And the other video that's gone viral is Jake Lang, who is one of the ICE agents that was a pardoned J6er, which was a terrorist on the Capitol, went and terrorized the Capitol in Minnesota and threatened them and called them out for to come out on February 7th, I guess. I don't know, he's going to fight them or what, but they had a huge ice sculpture on the state capitol there, and he walked over, videotaped himself, and kicked it down and destroyed it. And while he was doing it, hoorah, you know, and ice, bro, ice. So this is the derangement of, you know, our political party. This is the people, you know, it's scary to me that we gave this man a gun. It's scary. It's, you know, what he's doing is scary.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a Republican household. My parents were pretty, you know, staunch Republicans. Every time Nixon got elected, they held a party. Everybody was welcome to come. We lived in a liberal town, Boulder, and whether you voted for, you know, his Hubert Humphrey or George Wallace, everybody was welcome to come. But you know, and at the time, libs thought Nixon was about as bad as you could get, because Nixon did Watergate and then kind of fell apart psychologically, got kind of crazy before he was forced to resign. But this is, you know, today's.
Well, first off, this whole thing is the whole administration is a complete embarrassment. And when you look at the facts that you elected a convicted felon sex offender who outwardly just, you know, paid off people to shut up and be hushed. And then he's also, you know, the biggest pedophile in the biggest crime of our history, the Epstein files, for raping little girls, and they elected this man as president. I mean, it's just ludicrous to me that this even happened. I mean, what's going on with the mindset of the people is just beyond my understanding. But you know, that you just got to look at what on earth. Here, let me share this with you. Watch this.
Pro-life, baby! America first, America only! We'll see you here February 7th, Saturday, 12 noon, outside the Minnesota State Capitol.
Now, is this lunatic?
This is real.
And I know
Pro-life, baby! America first, America only! We'll see you here February 7th, Saturday,
all right.
12 noon, outside the Minnesota State Capitol.
I'm trying to turn it off, and I lost.
Is this lunatic also an ICE agent, or
Yes, that's what I'm saying. He is an ICE agent. All right, Nick. Somebody gave Nick the sound effects.
Okay.
Yeah, where are you, Nick?
Maybe I will answer your question. If you look at this guy, a lot of these people, they are pathological losers. They have no place in a modern society. and the Republicans and Trump led them
Untrained.
to behave the way they do and become some kind of part of the mechanism how they want to control American society. It's a fear now all over the America. It's becoming more or less like a fascist dictator, and this is where it's all going. Steve Bannon suggested just a day ago that ICE will control all the polls in democratic states. That means that automatically the election will be won again by Republicans. If that will happen.
Well, he's also like telling people to stop attacking pedophiles, and I'm like, well, you know, that this whole what they're doing is wrong. And you know, like one of the things that has disturbed me the most is now when there is an ICE incident where they may probably have killed someone, they are taking, say, their cars and shipping them somewhere where they can't be used as evidence. And because they're just, you know, ramming into people for no reason. Sometimes they just go out and arbitrarily pick a car and just start chasing and ramming it. And I mean, if you're being chased down the highway, which I have had someone one time late at night, I don't know why, but they were chasing me down the highway. And fortunately, I found some truckers and I just moved in with them. But it's a scary feeling. You don't know if it's ICE or not. They, you know, and just because they have a siren doesn't mean they're real. So I want to tell people, start following the procedures an officer taught me. Even if there's a light behind you and you're by yourself, you're in a secluded place, drop back, put your flashers on. If you have a cell phone, call 911 and get dispatch on and verify that it is police. Until then, continue on until you find a place that is not secluded, that is open to the public, and then pull over in a safe place. I was told this more than once by police officers because we had a time there where people were impersonating police officers and pulling them over. So I don't consider ICE any form of law enforcement or military of the United States anymore, not after what I've been witnessing. I just reviewed a video. I don't know if any of y'all watched it, but it was an angle of a person who videotaped when Alex Prezzi was shot dead. And they were right in front of the situation, their car was, and they were filming it through the windshield. And you can see the ICE agent take what looks to appear to be a magazine out of his pocket and puts it on Alex Prezzi's dead body. So, you know, there's all kinds of wrongdoings going on, and people are just turning their heads. They're normalizing this, and that's not a good thing. Normalizing masked men attacking women, kidnapping children is not a good thing. They're just normalizing us to build us up for their society of pedophiles. That's all they're doing. It's okay for us to behave this way. It's not okay for you to fight back. And this is a problem. This is a scary problem.
I think the issue of pedophiles, because there are so many in the U.S., including U.S. Congress, just top level of government, I think they have to lower the age, they say. If there would be, say, 5 years old, once you're over 5, there is no more pedophilia issue. So that would decrease the level of violent action which could fall into a pedophilia issue. So that would be, once they're dealing with young boys and girls, but they're over 5 years old, so there will be no more pedophilia issue. What do you think?
Same age sex is okay with me, but you know, I have a problem when you have say a 25-year-old luring anyone 15 and under. Okay? I have a problem with that. But we have age limits in the U.S. for a reason. Yes, Jacoby.
So the problem that we're having isn't because of we'll be honest. The problem that we're having is because the individual that we have in office currently right now, people are trying to justify justify his sins and making it okay for other people to do exactly what he has done. So when you have a person go on TV and justify in the right wing ethos right now, that goes on TV and tries to justify that, oh, well, pedophilia, he's not really a pedophile because no, he's a pedophile. So when you, that's what's going on now. The violence and everything else is because this man has given the okay for the violence. This man has given an avenue for the violence. There was a study evidently that came out that talked about in 2008 is when a lot of this political separation really began to magnify. And that was because of Sarah Palin. Because once it became okay, which is what happened with Sarah Palin, and we've all seen the video as an example of what happened when Sarah Palin started trying to magnify that Barack Obama's a Muslim, as if being Muslim is a bad thing, or being Muslim is so they began to magnify this whole other situation. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people stopped backing John McCain, is because they didn't feel that he echoed their same fears. And when Donald Trump came in, he really ran on those fears, ran on the idea that, oh, well, Barack Obama was not, he ran on these things. And that began to amplify the situation because he didn't create it. He just ran on it and made money off of it. That's what he's doing. He doesn't care about it. And yes, he has his issues, but going back to the whole pedophilia situation and the crime situation and the hatred of other situations, Donald Trump just yesterday pushed out a racist image of Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. But yet what's going to happen is people are going to go out. The same individuals are going to echo, oh, well, it was just a joke. No, it wasn't a joke. The man pushed out a racist image. And we have to be able to condemn that, and all condemn that, or else again it continues to give that pathway to say this is okay. So then that individual, those other individuals that have that feeling, that same feeling, feel empowered because the president of the United States is pushing racism. So I know now I can come out and be racist. It's the same thing.
This tweet that Trump did. It turns out that it was one of 100 postings he did. He stayed up all night in doing a storm of postings. A guy who's almost 80 years old, who falls asleep in cabinet meetings, was up all night posting on social media. And we say this all the time, but any other president behaving like this, people would be saying 25th Amendment, that this is, but.
Oh, they did with Biden, right? Like they pushed him out as fast as they could, but
they won't do it to Trump, and
that's because they're all wannabe pedophile.
Well, you have individuals that he has campaigned and brought into that platform, because a lot of the people. And see, this is why I get on Nick, even though he's in the background and he can hear me, he knows. And I get on him about posting doing the echo chamber on his Facebook wall as if it's a joke and as if it's funny. And once he does that, that's giving strength to those that have that same feeling. So that's putting in danger those other individuals. So basically you have influence and you're helping those people in bad ways who have these bad feelings to do the same thing. And that's not helpful in our society. And that's what Trump is doing. And so a lot of these people don't care about the kids that were sexually trafficked. They don't care about they never cared about Laken Riley. What it was is they care that it makes others mad.
Well,
they have these some, and this is not all, some have feelings of racism, but they feel empowered by that. But you know what? Also, it makes those liberals mad. so I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
I want to do this to triggering them. And that's what they
Well,
go
they
on.
do.
That's what this trolling happens on Facebook and everything, and the social media spots. And that creates that whole echo chamber, and it create it. And so now whatever Trump does, because it makes liberals mad, I'm going to support it.
It also makes him less effective. Like if you support Trump, like today, Trump is launching something called Trump RX, which is supposed to lower drug prices for Americans. But so I don't know if it's going to work, if it's going to is legit, but it gets overshadowed by Trump's horrible BS. So
Well,
even the good
there's
stuff
a
he
lot
might-
of there's a lot of people who are doing the pharmaceutical lower your price deal. Good RX started. I don't know if any of you ever used it, but even my physicians use it because they don't get good insurance for their for their own prescriptions. And so they even gave me a card. It's called Good RX. He came out with this probably back when Trump was in office, because Trump would not agree to do any good pharmaceutical lowering the prices. Pharmaceutical prices skyrocketed this year in America. Like it's gotten to the point people can't afford to even get their inhalers. And it's sad because we had this under control. We had insulin under control a little bit, not a lot. But Mark Cuban is a big influencer for lowering pharmaceutical prices, and he's been trying to start a program as well. He even went to Trump and said, hey, he doesn't like Trump, but he went to him and said, hey, let's get this program started. So maybe Trump took Mark's idea and is trying to do it. Trump just wants to be labeled something good when he dies because he thinks that's what's going to get him in heaven. That's what I think. So, but he can't earn enough points with labels. But he is horrible when it comes. He labels everybody. The recent interview with that woman when she asked him some questions? He rattled on about everything else and insulted her. I mean, I'm sick of him. I'm to the point of turning him off. I mean, how do we get the remote and turn him off in real life? I mean, can we?
Sadly, no. We can't turn him off because he's the president, and we have to be able to do news coverage on the president, and he knows that. And so he uses his platform to push out whatever he can. Then the people under him go and sanitize everything he says to make people agree with to argue with others, because it goes, and this is the thing that always kills me. Well, he says what he means. Okay, well, he said this. Well, that's not what he meant. Then stop sanitizing. Either he says what he meant, or you're having to translate and come up with some other idea to make it palatable that he said something racist or something bad, and you're trying. Don't tell me he says what he means if you're going to try and do that. So then
he's insulting journalists on purpose, because what's happening after that Republican media takes it all apart, and the useful 10 seconds they show on their networks, and they show, look at what Trump did with this stupid journalist, look at what he's done to her, and they all enjoy it and say, oh, our Trump is great, look at what he's done. So there is a purpose of why he's insulting journalists.
It's basically it's the old authoritarian playbook. It is this. That's all they're doing. You tear down education, you tear down the freedom of the press, and then you take away rights. And guess what? You can't do anything about it. They're trying to take those voting booths. It's just. And
what's the purpose in issuing ICE at every voting station? I mean, what is to
prevent?
I mean, other than intimidation.
Exactly.
I mean, why are we doing this? And are they going to be allowed to ask us who we voted for?
It's what Sasha
Before
just
they
said.
will ask you anything, they will beat you up and throw to jail, and then they will have some questions for you. Okay, That's how.
But there are only 22,000 ICE. There are 250 million Americans of voting age. That's a ratio of 11,000 to 1. So if Americans just show up at their voting polling places, ICE can fuck off. We've got so many more Americans than we have.
No, I disagree with you. I'm sorry, because all these the Democratic voters, they will not show up all at the same time. There will be somebody who will come first and second and third. So they will beat up first, beat up second, beat up the third, and the fourth and further voters. They may say, well, you know what, it's dangerous here. Probably they don't have the right to do anything like that, but they will. So then I will have to go to jail. Then I have to hire the lawyer and pay $25,000 retainer. It's not worth it. Okay, so Trump. So the another 2 years of Trump is better than for me being beaten and put in jail.
I don't think, like Minneapolis, where it's 0 degrees. Well, you're up in Canada. You think you're sunbathing when it's 0 degrees, but Americans showing up in terrible weather to protest and observe ICE. I think that enough Americans will show up
that's the hope. That's the hope. The reality of the situation is what Sasha has a great point. And this is, and the interesting thing, if you take an analogy of our history, for example, we relate this to, we'll say, the multiple world, the World War I and II. There were more Germans than there were Nazis. What happened though?
You look at Columbus when he took over America. Look at Columbus.
I mean, you got Columbus. That's one, but
I mean that's their theory. You put fear in them, and you subdue the people with fear.
Yeah, and so that is exactly what's going on. It's that intimidation because of what people have seen on TV, what people have seen live, what people have witnessed. It's going to scare people. And then if you start to see this military organization sitting outside your voting booth, that's going to be, and they're not going to put it in Texas and all the other places. So the 11 million that you're talking, or the
22,000.
Yeah, those 22,000 are going to be broken up into those 15 states. So now you're looking at a lot less. So then those 15 states are now going to be intimidated by 22,000 ICE agents, plus even more, because you've got to account for the individuals that are just there for Trump, that are going to be empowered by the individuals saying that, hey, look, if you don't vote for Trump, you are you're an insurrectionist. If you don't vote for Trump, you hate America. They're literally having a secondary Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah, but nobody. All right, but they had to buy a bunch of. They had to.
It's going to be like the Melania.
They had to hold on. Nobody's going to watch that crap.
No, my point with that.
Nobody's going to. You're right, Rick. No, it's going to be like the Melania opening. They can't pay people.
Honestly, there will be people watching it. But the thing is, my point was saying that is that you can count the 22,000 ICE agents, but also count the individuals that watch that Turning Point USA halftime show, the people that watched the Melania show. Now you're adding in millions. So that's the whole point, is the intimidation, and those people that cheer on this intimidation, and those people that share, like Nick, oh, well, hey, look at this individual. We should hate this individual because they're brown skinned. That's what Nick is doing. And so that echo chamber keeps going.
The echo chamber, too, of the 10 to 12 girls that were raped and killed by immigrants, that's such a losing argument to me when you've got, 100 women a day. I mean, even 100 women a minute actually being beaten and killed and raped by American men. That's just a losing argument to me. Why stand up for the 15 that were, beaten and abused by migrants but forget about the millions of women who were beaten and abused by Americans.
It's
I mean, what you've
because-
done again is you've normalized that it's okay for American men to rape and abuse women and children, but it's not okay for anyone else. You're normalizing this really bizarre behavior. It's just grooming. It's just
I'll tell
grooming.
you, it's partially what you said. They've normalized it and they've ignored it. But
Right.
the whole point of it is to demonize the individual. They don't care about those 12 victims. Don't care at all.
I know they don't. I know
And
they
so the
don't.
point
They
they're
use-
doing is they're trying to say that these brown people are rapists. Don't
No,
you?
yeah,
hate
they're
rapists?
deporting all of, and that's my argument. Well, then deport all the American men because they rape women too. But you know, you can't get that mentality past a MAGA. MAGA has this weird wall of justifying any inhumanity towards anyone they're prejudiced against. That's what they're about.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. They don't care about those women. Don't care anything.
God's
And-
going to get the fun job because he's going to get to sit there and watch them squirm, and he's going to go, "Why?" And they're going to go, "Well, Biden." God's going to have the fun job because he gets to ask them why. I'm
So
saying.
and that's the sad spot that we're at right now. And that's why, I mean, what's happening with these voting booths, we need to really call out and keep an eye on what's happening with ICE.
Well,
We need to keep an eye on it. Just
you got also, but I am curious why Texas voted blue for the first time. I am curious about that.
Well, Texas used to elect Democrats 30, 40 years ago.
I know, but Texas would intimidate people. When you go there, it's an intimidation tactic that they use, that you do not vote blue. It's a pure intimidation and shame.
There are
Texas
more
is a-
registered Democrats in Texas than there are Republicans. But you're right, Republicans show up. We haven't heard from Dr. Sharif. Dr. Sharif, your country had somebody who has been accused of being a dictator in power off and on during this century. What happened with her, and how did you guys end up ousting her?
The Sheikh Hasina, she was in power last 17 years. Can you hear me?
No, you got to get louder.
Lean forward. Now we
can't hear.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, our previous Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, last 17 years, she was in power. And definitely she get back up by the Indian government. And she ran Bangladesh 17 years. And with all of her corruptions, with dictatorships, without elections, with all of the mega projects and corruptions she did in Bangladesh. And then all of the youth, why I prefer this talent economies, the young populations and so on, they come to the front line and they said we do not need more corruptions and more political dictatorships or fascist. And that time, around 2,000 students they died, and around 20,000 people they injured by this fascist government. But this month, 12 of February, we have our elections in Bangladesh, and hopefully after the elections we can get the democratic government. But still, there are a lot of tension. There are a lot of unstable political situations. Youth are trying to engage with the politics. On the other hand, there are many old people, those who have experience from the previous dictatorships and these things they are trying to impose. India, definitely they are supporting the previous government, like the Sheikh Hasina, what we are discussing, that she was a dictator. And this is something tensions in South Asia, definitely in between India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, even, Bangladesh also boycott to visit, Bangladesh cricket team boycott to visit India because of these tensions. So hopefully after the elections, everything will be fine as Bangladesh go for a transition process, specifically developing political institutions, developing different institutions, and go for new constitutional developments. So we have two elections. One is this government elections, and another one is the constitutional things that they want to change some format of the government and institutions. So they need voting from the government. So this is very exciting and very interesting, and definitely we need more Western world support and Western world collaborations and partnerships for this improvement. Naturally, European Union, they heavily support us. North America alignment, definitely they support us. So hopefully through this process we can get new government and new formations. But two things specifically from USA. One is immigration process of USA. Second one is tariff. It's heavily affecting our economy and our these immigrations, because country like Bangladesh, India, China, Pakistan, they are very immigrant nations and do all of the business with Western world. It has very negative impact in our economy if our speakers like Kimberly or Rick or Sasha or anyone, Jatovi, want to introduce some solutions for our audience, because I shared these things with my audience. Hopefully it will be helpful. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharif. Yeah, I mean, it takes a unity to build the solutions, right? And when people unite together, there are strength in numbers, but not always strength in morals. So you have to be careful about what you unite with. Right now, if I united with anyone, it would be Canada. They seem to have very strong morals and doing what is for their people. I'm looking forward to attending the CERA Week with the world leaders just to hear what is going on, even though we're really not supposed to talk politics while we're there. Last year it was very hard because everyone was asking, what on earth is going on with the United States? Because there's just so much chaos and uncertainty. So I would say that I'm looking forward to this meeting. I'm a little scared to go, but I am looking forward to hearing what the rest of the world is saying. I don't think that there's any solutions for the United States until this president is gone. So,
I mean,
what do we do?
Yeah, one thing, like example, like USA is
anything.
Yeah,
go ahead.
USA is the largest democratic countries, and it's an open society. So the like country like Bangladesh, India, everybody follow USA democratic issues and all of the things. Do you think that that definitely Donald Trump, he elected, right? He elected by the US peoples, and he has most popularity. What is the reason why US people select Donald Trump? Is there any consequences of the previous government or any strategy or anything?
So you have mostly people who he can talk to, right? That he relates to the majority of the United States, which, I mean, I hate saying it, but he even said it. Majority of them are not highly educated, but he speaks to the people who are tired of being told, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that. He speaks to the criminals, right? To the criminal minds and the people who want to get away with things. And that's the mindset that America has become. They've learned to victimize themselves. He will victimize himself of something, and it will relate to a majority of the people, whatever it is he victimized himself of. And then he gets their sympathy, and then he gets their rage because, dang it, that happens to me too. And darn it, I want my rights just like you, even though you're a criminal, I want to get away with it too. And that's the majority. And so don't want to be like us. Please be like what you want you to be, but don't want to be like us right now. We are not what anyone wants to be like. The majority of the people have proven we are not good morals. Majority. The rest of us are, but
I would like to ask a very simple question. Dr. Sharif, you just mentioned that the U.S. is the biggest democracy in the world. What makes you think that U.S. is democratic country where citizens are being killed on the streets in the middle of the day? Is
By
that
government.
by government agents? So you believe that this is the democratic country?
No, you are correct. That is the things we are discussing. What's going on? But if you ask me personally, I'm 40 years old. I was a debater. I can remember my childhood. I inspired the debating. Debating is most important thing for democratic countries or practice or anything. When I was children,
There is
I
no
inspired by the
debates in the United States. I'm sorry to
so
interrupt you. There is no
uh,
debates
I- I'm,
in the
I'm,
United
I'm,
States.
I'm just sharing my things. In my
Okay.
childhood,
Right.
I can remember this Bill Clinton presidential debate, Barack Obama presidential debate. It's inspired me personally. Even if you ask this Bangladeshi peoples, uh, they do not want government like Pakistan. That's why Bangladesh separate. So what is the solution Bangladesh has? Bangladesh need democratic institutions or something. So what we have the model from UK, we have model from USA for a good example of democratic countries. Definitely, India is the largest democratic country, but India do not support Bangladesh democracy at all. So that's why this is one of the concepts, that our communities or our cultures they have that we can follow USA. And the other hand, not like individually our country. USA has a lot of NGO, right? USA has a lot of influence over global community, global cultures, and everywhere. They are also advise or suggest or negotiate with all of the South Asian countries or Bangladesh for the democratic activities and so on. But thank you, Kimberly, and all of our speakers, because you are very honest. That is also good example. Let's say how Kimberly say you are very honest and you are very positive about the situations and something. Even that is also good example that my audience can learn from you how to constructive way criticize their culture and their activities. This is also good.
Thank you for the compliment. What I'm trying to say is find what is good for you and work on it rather than trying to be like what we are or what someone else is. Because I heard a saying the other day and it has hit home. The grass is always greener where you maintain and care for it. It is not always greener on the other side. It is only greener where you maintain and care for it. So take your good ideas and your good morals and you focus and build it in your country, uniting with other countries on these standards and foundations are good. But we don't have a good foundation right now. We are crumbling at a
What I
fast
wanted-
rate.
What I wanted to say in terms of the solutions that you're looking for, Doc, is that one key nugget, which is one thing that I think is being lost in the U.S., especially currently, but that one key nugget. And honestly, there in Bangladesh, I think you guys do. I don't know the history and the culture around it, so I don't want to give a judgment on it. But one of the nuggets that I think that you can take and actually grow from is it takes a village. That idea has to be the cornerstone of whatever you build, because you cannot have the mindset that it's going to be about me. It has to be about the community, because as you build off of that community and begin to protect the people in the community, it builds out from your neighbor, from your local neighborhood to your local city, then it goes to your local state, and then it begins to broaden across the country. The more you view that, hey, we must protect our people, we must make sure our people and our cultures, and it's not a nationalized thing, more so than, hey, look, our people are the important piece. The culture that we have, it is great. We want to share it with the world, but we also want to welcome other cultures to enhance the culture that we have. So it's it's the idea of that melting pot and that growth, and you can learn from anyone, be it the street preacher down the road who's saying some crazy things right now, to the big time tech CEO who just made a $14 billion deal on selling his idea. So it has to be about that community first, and that community, that village has to be able to build out from there. That would be the positive thing that I think that you'd go with.
Well, and also I want to reflect back on something Rick had mentioned earlier, because, you know, my parents were Republican, but they were more about the people, but Republican. But back in the day, Republicans were the people fighting against racism, and they were the people putting in some of the laws to protect human rights. They changed. You know, I don't know what shifted it, but maybe they were always bad and just putting up a good front. But until we got to wrap up, thank you everyone for joining us on World Edition here, February 6, 2026. We'll see you Monday. Don't forget to adjust your channels for watching us review the Epstein files on Tuesday, February 10th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, stay healthy so you stay wealthy. Thank you, Sharif, for joining us.